It's very difficult knowing when I actually wanted to make a film for the first time. I can remember as a kid being about 4 or 5 and sitting at a dinner table at a restaurant and pretending my eyes were a camera and, you know, kind of slowly opening them up and be looking at my sister, and it'd be sort of a cut to sister. And then she would talk for a while, and then I would look over at my dad, and it would be like pan or cut to dad, and he would talk, and then after a while I'd close my eyes and it would be like a fade out or something.
On Valentine's Day, Jeff and I were having dinner at a nice restaurant, and he says,
"Would you be my producer?"
And I thought it was funny that he said it that way, but I was ecstatic and I agreed, and I was so happy that he would ask me to be a part of it.
I began to storyboard some of it. It was difficult because I think when I started storyboarding, in fact, I didn't even have my own apartment yet, so I was storyboarding for a location that I didn't yet know the particulars of. Anyone who has ever owned a camera, if you have an actual 35mm camera, one roll of film, you can pay as much as $5 a roll. That's 24 pictures. That makes up 1 second of film in film. So you can imagine how costly it is to make an actual 35mm feature-length film production. So it was just above my head.
But you heard that they were holding auditions for Darkly Farewell.
You kind of size everybody up immediately as to, okay, well, I see there's one person that might be a David, there's one person that might be a Madeline or something. And I remember when my eyes fell on Jesse Delaney, I remember my first thought, which is going to sound kind of negative, but I remember thinking, his hair's kind of weird. And he just had it slicked back like he always does, but it seemed very high to me for some reason. Anyway, I knew that we could work around that, and eventually we did, and he became, you know, an excellent part of the film.
I have you in mind for the part of David. That's Jeff, but it probably doesn't sound like him. Anyway, he has me in the mind for the part of David, so I like jumped off my little stair landing, and I was happy as hell right there. Later I found out it was the main character, which was even more exciting.
As I was watching them audition, I would write down my thoughts, just a sentence or so, or maybe a word or two. And I remember for Lissa, it was just wow. And I think they came in back to back. Jesse first, and Lissa was the next person in. And I pretty much knew I had my 2 actors.
I knew she had done a lot more plays than I ever had, considering I had done 0 plays or anything. I found she was a very easy person to work with.
We were definitely going for just a timeless feel, and then we went through the screenplay again and did, you know, what kind of hairdo do we want for Madeline? Here do we want it up? Do we want it down? And I had specific ideas on what I wanted for those.
With the exception of, I think, 2 times in the film, her hair was up.
All the time off screen, everybody's really having a fun time and joking around. So right when Jeff says action, I slip into a different person.
Action.
Like off screen, it was a comedy, and on screen, it's a drama.
Stand by.
Water. I'm kidding.
Stand by. Stand by.
Do I still have to say
I'm going to shoot a film over here. If you guys would like to be in it, that'd be good. Otherwise,
Recently, we were eating at a Chinese restaurant, and Jeff opened his fortune cookie, which read, "Beware the fury of a patient man," which we thought was, you know, it was dead on for him, and so it's kind of funny that he got that fortune.
He never blew up on me. I can't say that for everybody else, but
When we were shooting on the cliff, there were some people off in the distance who seemed to like to yell.
Stay back. Madeline, I can hear the voices.
And wait for the frickin' retards.
That's like the most you've ever exploded. That was huge. Oh, you should be like
Would you like an Excedrin? Filming on the cliff was pretty nerve-wracking when Jeff said, okay, now you're going to walk around Lissa, and you're going to stand with your back towards Lake Superior there. And on the film, it looks like I'm standing right on the edge. And in real life, I'm close to the edge. I'm not right on the edge. but close enough, you know, a lot closer than I would have probably liked to be. So, and it was kind of windy up there, and I'm a little bit afraid of heights.
That one in particular where we were up on the cliff, and it was very stressful.
You know, Jeff was kind of worried and stuff like that about time, lighting, and on the way, Jeff's tire blew out in the middle of this busy highway, so that kind of set us back a little bit time-wise. But other than that, it was, you know, it was fun. I did make a couple of appearances in the film. Funeral scene, the cemetery a second time, my silhouette, thank you very much. That's my arm, you know, my legs.
My actual favorite thing to shoot was the whole sequence really of when David goes to Ferguson's house, which we shot at Bob Olson's house, a councilman locally in Brainerd, Minnesota. He let us shoot there one night while he and his wife went out of town specifically so we could do this. We got there at about 5 or 6 o'clock that night.
It was an all-night shoot. It was like 12 hours, which sounds like a really long time, and it was.
It was the biggest crew we ever had.
And we shot Bill Musil stuff first, so he got to take off quick, which he was lucky because the rest of us were there till about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Bill, it's going to be the same thing for you. Good. Just a difference for me. Just be a minute. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a change of pace because we were shooting at night, and you know, we had the best set of the whole movie probably to kind of to work in, and it was just, the house was so perfect as to what I had imagined it as.
The lighting of a dark house, it's an eerie feeling. He shouldn't be in Mr. Ferguson's house. You know, you're just right on the edge of your seat because you're wondering, when's he going to come home? Is he going to come home and find David here rummaging through his stuff or not? I think that scene is one of the best ones.
To kind of come to life as I had imagined it, it was really a great moment for me in the whole shooting process of the film. The look of the film, where it goes from black and white to color, and sometimes there's a colored object and and everything else is black and white, that came really early on, right after I'd finished writing it. I love black and white movies, but I also love color movies. I really didn't want to choose just one. I decided upon the technique of kind of fading between the two, and I called it the moodering effect because depending on how much color is within the shot, especially if it's a shot of David, it's kind of a window into what his mind is doing at that point.
Jeff wanted to convey a lot more than just a mainstream Hollywood movie in this film, which that's something I was actually surprised about when I finally saw the finished product. I didn't know it was going to be that directed towards his own artist rendition of what he wanted to show. It's not all there right in front of your eyes. You do have to look into it to understand it.
Because it's been such an amazing experience.
I really, really did have a great time shooting, well, I didn't shoot, but filming Darkly Farewell. I guess I didn't film it either. Acting in Darkly Farewell, and I would love to do another movie with Jeff.
We now have this film that we can share with each other and talk about the great time we had making it, and hopefully we can look back on it as a really interesting and fun time in our lives that we got to to make this film on our own and really problem solve all these different things that we had to do to make it come to life.
Cut. Good. Okay. Gravy.